I've been incredibly vocal on this channel about my opinion towards Homage watches, and I feel like I owe an explanation and somewhat of an apology regarding the matter. I've stated on many occasions that I'm not a fan of Homage watches. In the past, I've called them cheap knockoffs, I've called them poor taste, and even said you should avoid them. Now, my opinion on this subject has somewhat shifted, hence the making of this video. But this isn't a video about celebrating Homage watches, it's the opposite in fact. I'll be taking you through my pros and cons regarding them and where I stand on them today. So over the past 6 months, I've reviewed a few different Homage watches. One of the first was the Sander Tank. This is a cheap Cartier Tank copy that delivers the look of the tank for just £10. I also reviewed the Kuo Old Smith. This one is a homage to the Dirty Dozen field watches from World War II. I reviewed the Vario Versa, a reversible dress watch that is clearly inspired by the Cartier Tank and JLC Reverso. The Citizen Soyosa, a watch that copies Rolex with its style design and is clearly taking a lot of inspiration from the integrated bracelet sports watch trend. The Boltony 1921, pretty much a one-for-one copy of the Vacheron Constantin 1921. And the Borealis Estoril 300, a watch based around the big triangle Seamaster Professionals. Now I could easily name many more because it's easy to see inspiration from other watches with pretty much every watch out there. But I think it's important that we don't just put everything under the same umbrella. All of the watches that I mentioned are in some way a homage watch, but I don't feel like this is actually being fair. Take the Vario Versa. Yes, it takes inspiration from the Tank and Reverso, but the flip case mechanism on that watch is unique to Vario. They didn't copy it from anywhere. The dials are clearly inspired by other models, but they aren't one-for-one copies. Then take the Boltony 1921, a complete one-for-one ripoff. No work went into trying to make that watch unique or different. They basically put the VC in the photocopier and printed one themselves with their brand name on the dial. I think it's important to distinguish the difference between these two types of watches. Being inspired by another watch is a beautiful thing, and that actually creates some new and exciting watches. I think of my Islander Rangemaster as the perfect example. This is a watch clearly inspired by both the Hamilton Khaki Mechanical and the Tudor Ranger. However, it's not a copy. TGV, the designer, has combined elements from other watches to create something unique. Yes, technically, it's a homage watch, but it's not trying to pass itself off as anything else. I think of it like this. If you change the brand name on the dial of the homage to the watch that it looks like, could it be passed off as the real thing? If the answer's yes, then this isn't a true homage. It should be known as a clomage, because the watch is basically a clone, just with a different brand name on the dial. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is a bad thing. I'm just trying to make a clear difference between the two, because in my opinion, these aren't the same things. A true homage that takes inspiration from different watches and combines them to create something different, for me, absolutely deserves a lot more respect than a clomage watch. But why is it that a lot of people buy homage watches anyway? I have two main reasons why I believe this to be true. One, you appreciate the design of the original, but can't or don't want to buy it. And two, you get fantastic specifications for the money. Let's talk about both of these points. If, for example, you love the look of the Rolex Submariner, you think that it's the peak of dive watch design, but you can't afford the 10 grand to buy one, obviously a $150 homage is very appealing. You get the legendary design on your wrist for not much money. I get it. It also helps when these watches are typically packed with insane specifications. Usually, these homage watches come with automatic movements, sapphire crystals, great water resistance ratings, and decent lume. They offer way better value for money than the likes of Seiko, Orient, Tissot, etc. Yes, it is very appealing to get more for less. But is that all that matters with watches? And that's a serious question. I'm asking you as an enthusiast. Do you exclusively want the most value for money, and that's the bottom line? Because if it is, then homage watches are obviously the way to go. No normal watch brand can compete with these Chinese homage brands. They are simply offering too much spec at such a low price. But do you value originality? Do you value history? Do you value things being done in the right way? If, like me, you answer yes for any of those things, then there are much better options out there. Sure, you might not get the best spec for the cash, but a designer has sat down, spent hours, days, weeks creating the watch. They have spent months getting samples, changing the slightest of details, perfecting the look of the watch, because it's their baby. I think of someone like Matt from Bowcroft. He designs his watches right here in England, spends countless hours making the watch look exactly how he wants. That is not only an extremely time-consuming part of the process, but also very expensive. Time, money, and effort goes into these watches. And I think we should put our attention and money into the people who are making the effort, even if that means you get less spec for the money. So let's compare two different watches. Let's take the San Martin BB54 and this Orient Mako 40. Both of them cost around £200 and both of them are dive watches. You absolutely get a better watch for the money with the San Martin. You're going to get better finishing, a ceramic bezel, a better bracelet and clasp. The Orient can't compete with the spec sheet of the San Martin, but the San Martin is just a Tudor knockoff. It's bloody boring. It has no personality, no originality, and no substance. Sure, the Orient is technically a worse watch, but it's original, cool, and unique. It's not copying another watch. It's very much its own piece. A watch to be proud of. A watch with a designer. I will 100% always recommend going for an original design piece over a Homage watch when they are the same price, even if that means you have to sacrifice specs. One thing though that I can never get on board with, and I actually find really hard to wrap my head around, is the Homage to the affordable watch. This one really does baffle me. I don't see the point in buying a Pagani PRX Clomage when the actual PRX is $300. Please, if you appreciate the design of the PRX and you think that it's a killer watch, save up and get the real deal. We aren't talking about tens of thousands of dollars here. We're talking about a couple $100. Surely it's better to have the real deal than the copy. Another good example of this is the Studio Underdog Watermelon. Yes, the original is super hard to get hold of. You have to join the waitlist and pre-order the watch. But surely it's worth the payoff when you get the real deal. Surely the $300 saved isn't going to bring you more enjoyment than having the original design on your wrist. I believe that Homage watches do absolutely have a place in this hobby, so I am sorry for saying that you should avoid them. My bad. I can see the value that they offer. I can see why someone would want to buy one. It's very appealing to get something that is mechanically great value for money, and I will continue to review a Clomage watch here and there on this channel. I don't hate them. Sometimes I even think they're pretty cool, but most of the time, seeing just another Rolex Homage just sends me to sleep. It's probably the most boring thing that I could possibly imagine. But should we be supporting micro brands who are creating original designs instead that cost a bit more money? After all, that's what's moving this watch industry forward. Coming up with a new idea is crucial to the longevity of this space. Watchmaking is already a dying industry, with the Apple Watch being sold in what seems like it's billions. The only way to tackle that is by supporting the brands that are taking the industry in the right direction. Brands like Christopher Ward, Studio Underdog, Stratton, Zelos, micro brands that are coming up with original designs and trying to do things the right way. Micro brands who are run by genuine watch enthusiasts who you can email and chat with. I highly doubt that the owners of San Martin and Pagani are true watch enthusiasts. The majority of these Homage brands are set up to print as much money as possible. And that's fine, but is that what you value? Final point. Buy what you like. This is just my opinion, and it's no more valid than yours. If you love Homage watches and you have a collection full of them, enjoy them. Forget what I say. They still have a place, but in my opinion, they should be enjoyed in moderation. I think that you should try and support the brands who are doing things the right way. If you are new around here, then join me on my mission to 25,000 subscribers. I'd love for you to subscribe, just down there. Thank you very much. But make sure you tell me what you think down in the comments. This is a discussion video. I'd love to know what you think. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong, please. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.